Have you ever found yourself standing at a crossroads, feeling completely and utterly lost? That peculiar state where nothing makes sense, where the path you've been following suddenly disappears, where all your plans and certainties have crumbled, and you're left standing in the ruins of what you thought your life was supposed to be. We've all been taught that feeling lost is something to be fixed, something to escape from as quickly as possible, a problem to be solved, a weakness to be overcome, a failure of planning or character or determination. But what if I told you that this feeling of being lost isn't a mistake at all? What if those moments when you feel most disoriented are actually the universe trying desperately to communicate with you? What if the very discomfort you're trying to escape is the doorway to the life you're truly meant to live? What if feeling lost isn't a detour from your path, but the path itself, revealing itself to you in a language you've never been taught to understand? If you enjoy this type of deep reflection, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And most importantly, leave a comment below telling us if this has ever happened to you or if you know someone who passed through this. You see, we live in a culture obsessed with certainty. From our earliest days, we're bombarded with questions about what we want to be when we grow up. We're expected to have 10-year plans, 5-year goals, clear career trajectories, defined relationships, and mapped-out futures. The entire educational system, the job market, even our social interactions are structured around the assumption that knowing exactly where you're going is the only acceptable way to live. And if you don't know, well, you better pretend that you do. You better come up with something quickly, because nothing makes people more uncomfortable than someone who admits they're lost. But here's the first dangerous truth about feeling lost. It's often the first sign that you're beginning to live authentically. Think about it. When are we most likely to feel lost? When the script we've been following stops making sense. When the goals we've been pursuing ring hollow. When the identity we've constructed starts to feel like a costume rather than our skin. These aren't signs of failure. They're signs of awakening. They're signs that something deeper in you is stirring, something that can no longer be satisfied with the pre-packaged life that was handed to you or that you unconsciously adopted. The first danger of feeling lost is that it forces you to confront the possibility that everything you thought you wanted isn't actually what your soul needs. And that's terrifying. It's much easier to keep following a path that doesn't fulfill you than to stand in the empty space of not knowing and face the vertigo of unlimited possibility. It's much easier to continue in a career that slowly drains your life force than to admit you made a choice based on someone else's values rather than your own. It's much easier to stay in a relationship that doesn't make your heart sing than to face the prospect of starting over. I remember speaking with a woman, let's call her Rebecca, who had spent 15 years building a successful career in corporate law. She had the corner office, the impressive salary, the respect of her colleagues. She had sacrificed nights, weekends, relationships, and her health to climb that ladder. And then one morning she woke up and couldn't remember why any of it mattered. She couldn't find a single compelling reason to get out of bed and go to the office. She felt completely lost, adrift in a life that suddenly seemed like it belonged to someone else. The life she had worked so hard to create no longer felt like her own. The second danger of feeling lost is that it strips away the illusion of control. Most of us spend our lives believing that if we just plan carefully enough, work hard enough, prepare thoroughly enough, we can control the outcomes of our lives. We can ensure success, avoid pain, guarantee happiness. But feeling lost shatters this illusion. It reveals that life is fundamentally uncontrollable, that change is the only constant, that uncertainty isn't just an occasional visitor, but the very water we swim in. And this terrifies us, because if we can't control our lives, who are we? What's the point of all our striving? What's the foundation we're building on? This is why we rush to escape the feeling of being lost. We grab onto the first solution, the quickest fix, the most readily available path. We take the job that doesn't inspire us because at least it's a job. We commit to the relationship that doesn't transform us because at least we're not alone. We adopt belief systems that don't actually resonate with our deepest knowing because at least they provide some structure. We would rather have answers we don't believe than questions we can't answer. The third danger of feeling lost is perhaps the most insidious. It's the social pressure that rushes in the moment we admit we don't know where we're going. Have you noticed how uncomfortable people become when you honestly tell them you don't know what you want to do with your life? Or that you're questioning the path you're on? They immediately start offering solutions, suggestions, referrals. They try to solve you like a problem. Not because they don't care, but because your lostness triggers their own unacknowledged fears of uncertainty. Your willingness to stand in the unknown reminds them of all the ways they've compromised to avoid that very space. I once met a man who had left a 20-year career to pursue something that called to him, though he couldn't yet articulate what it was. He described how his friends and family reacted with a kind of panic. They bombarded him with job listings, introductions, suggestions, anything to move him out of that uncertain space and back onto solid ground. Their fear was palpable. His willingness to be lost threatened the carefully constructed narratives that kept their own lives feeling safe. But here's what most people never discover. The universe speaks to us most clearly when we're lost. When all our certainties have been stripped away, when our usual strategies no longer work, when we've been brought to our knees by the collapse of what we thought we knew, that's when we're finally quiet enough to hear the subtle guidance that's always been there. That's when we're humble enough to look beyond our limited understanding and perceive the larger pattern trying to emerge through our lives. Think of it like this. The universe, or life, or God, or consciousness, or whatever name resonates for you, is constantly trying to guide you toward your fullest expression, your deepest fulfillment, your most authentic contribution. But most of the time, we're too busy, too certain, too defended, too distracted to hear it. We're like someone trying to listen to a quiet stream while blasting music in our headphones. We can't hear the gentle guidance because we're drowning it out with all our knowing, all our planning, all our controlling. Feeling lost is what happens when the universe finally gets our attention. When it disrupts our plans, dissolves our certainties, and creates a gap in our understanding just large enough for a new possibility to slip in. It's not punishment. It's not failure, it's guidance of the highest order. It's the universe saying, stop, look, listen, there's another way. There's a path that's more aligned with who you truly are, with what life is asking of you. The fourth danger of feeling lost is that it requires a kind of surrender that our ego finds threatening. We've been taught that surrender means defeat, weakness, giving up. But spiritual surrender is something entirely different. It's not about becoming passive or accepting whatever comes your way without discernment. It's about acknowledging that there's an intelligence at work in the universe that's larger than your individual mind, and that this intelligence is trying to express itself through your unique life. Surrender means becoming a conscious participant in this larger unfolding, rather than trying to direct it solely through your limited perspective. It means acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, that you can't see the whole picture, that your individual will is not the only force at work in your life. This kind of surrender doesn't diminish you, it doesn't make you smaller. Paradoxically, it allows you to become more fully yourself because you're no longer fighting against the very life force that's trying to express itself through you. I'm reminded of a story about a butterfly struggling to emerge from its chrysalis. A well-meaning observer, seeing the butterfly's struggle, decided to help by carefully cutting open the chrysalis. The butterfly emerged easily, but its wings were shriveled and it could never fly. The struggle itself, the very resistance that seemed so difficult, was exactly what the butterfly needed to develop the strength to fulfill its potential. In the same way, the struggle of feeling lost, the discomfort, the uncertainty, the not knowing, is strengthening something essential in you. It's developing muscles you'll need for the next phase of your journey. It's preparing you to fly in ways you couldn't if you were rescued too quickly from the transformative power of uncertainty. The fifth danger of feeling lost is that it asks you to develop a different relationship with time. Our culture is obsessed with speed, efficiency, productivity. We want quick results, immediate understanding, instant transformation. But the kind of deep change that happens when we're truly lost doesn't operate on this timeline. It unfolds according to its own mysterious schedule, in layers and spirals rather than straight lines. When you're genuinely lost, you enter what mythologist Joseph Campbell called the belly of the whale, a timeless space where the usual rules don't apply, where you're being digested by life itself, broken down so that you can be reconstituted in a new form. This process can't be rushed. It has its own organic timing. Trying to hurry it is like trying to make a seed sprout faster by pulling on the shoot. You don't speed the process, you damage it. This is why quick fixes are so seductive when we're lost. They promise to return us to the familiar world of clarity and certainty. But they rob us of the deeper transformation that's trying to occur. They steal from us the very guidance we've been seeking. They rush us through the cocoon before our wings are ready, and so we emerge still unable to fly, still disconnected from our deeper knowing, still not fully ourselves. The sixth danger of feeling lost is that it requires us to develop a different kind of trust, not trust in our plans or our abilities or our understanding, but trust in life itself. Trust that even in the darkness, even in the confusion, even in the painful dissolution of what we thought we knew, life is carrying us towards something we couldn't have imagined from our previous standpoint. This isn't blind faith. It's not magical thinking. It's a profound recognition that life is not random, that patterns of meaning are woven through everything, and that these patterns are trying to express themselves through your unique existence. This kind of trust doesn't come easily, especially for those of us who have experienced betrayal or trauma or profound disappointment. We've been taught to be self-sufficient, to rely only on ourselves, to trust no one and nothing outside our control. But this stance closes us off from the very guidance we're seeking. It isolates us in our individual minds, which are simply too small to comprehend the vast pattern that's trying to unfold through our lives. Learning to trust when you're lost doesn't mean abandoning discernment. It doesn't mean following every impulse or accepting every idea that crosses your path. It means developing a more nuanced relationship with your intuition, with your body's wisdom, with the subtle signs and synchronicities that are always speaking to you if you learn their language. It means recognizing that you're not alone in your lostness, that you're being held by something larger than yourself, that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when, especially when, it doesn't feel like it. There's a seventh danger of feeling lost that's perhaps the most challenging of all. It asks you to redefine success. Most of us have been taught that success means achieving our goals, reaching our targets, fulfilling our plans. But what if the highest form of success is becoming more fully yourself? What if it's aligning your life with the deepest truth you know? What if it's contributing your unique gifts in the way only you can? From this perspective, feeling lost isn't a detour from success. It's an essential part of finding a more authentic version of it. The man or woman who follows a conventional path to conventional success, but never questions, never explores, never risks the uncertainty of not knowing, have they really succeeded, or have they merely completed someone else's idea of a successful life? The person who stays in the job that doesn't fulfill them, the relationship that doesn't enliven them, the location that doesn't inspire them, all to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty. Are they really winning? Or are they slowly losing themselves, one compromise at a time? Here's something the ancient wisdom traditions understood that our modern culture has forgotten. Being lost is sacred. It's an initiation. It's the space where the old self dies and a new, more authentic self has the chance to be born. In traditional societies, initiates were often taken blindfolded into the wilderness, spun around until disoriented, and left to find their way back. Not as punishment, but as an essential part of their development, their maturation into full adulthood. They had to learn to navigate not by familiar landmarks, but by deeper guidance, by the stars, by the subtle signs of nature, by an inner knowing that could only emerge when all the usual reference points were gone. We've lost these formal initiations, but life still initiates us through the experience of feeling lost. It still blindfolds us, spins us around, and asks us to find our way by a guidance deeper than thinking, more fundamental than planning, more trustworthy than controlling. This is not a mistake in your path. It is the path itself, revealing itself to you in moments of sacred disorientation. So what do we do when we find ourselves in this space? How do we navigate when all the maps have failed us? The first step is the hardest. We stop running. We cease the desperate search for quick answers, easy solutions, familiar certainties. We allow ourselves to be fully where we are, disoriented, confused, uncertain. We feel the discomfort of not knowing without trying to escape it. This is not passive resignation. It's active surrender. It's creating space for a deeper knowing to emerge. The second step is equally challenging. We start listening differently, not just with our minds, but with our bodies, our dreams, our emotions, our intuition. We pay attention to what brings us alive, what drains our energy, what feels resonant, what feels discordant. We notice the subtle synchronicities, the meaningful coincidences, the unexpected connections that seem to be guiding us towards something we couldn't have planned. We become students of our own experience, curious explorers rather than desperate fixers. The third step is perhaps the most courageous. We begin to take small actions based not on certainty, but on resonance. We follow the thread of what feels alive, what generates energy, what creates a sense of rightness, even if we don't fully understand why or where it's leading. We become willing to not know the whole path, but to simply take the next step, and then the next, and then the next, trusting that each step will reveal the one that follows. This isn't a linear process. It's more like a spiral, circling back through the same territory at deeper and deeper levels. There will be moments of clarity followed by renewed confusion, moments of certainty followed by deeper questioning. This is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're genuinely engaged with the mystery of becoming more fully yourself. It's a sign that you're allowing life to guide you rather than trying to force life into your preconceived plans. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you fully embrace being lost, you find yourself in a whole new way. Not the self you thought you were, not the self others expected you to be, but your authentic self, the unique expression of life that only you can be. This self doesn't need to know all the answers because it trusts the unfolding. It doesn't need to control all the outcomes because it's aligned with a deeper current. It doesn't need constant validation because it's rooted in its own inherent worthiness. So if you find yourself lost today, if the path has disappeared, if the certainties have crumbled, if the plans have failed, know that you're not abandoned. You're not being punished. You're being initiated into a deeper relationship with life itself. The universe hasn't forgotten you. Quite the opposite. It's trying to guide you home to yourself in the only way it can, by removing everything that isn't truly yours, everything that isn't aligned with who you really are, everything that was keeping you from hearing the still, small voice of your own deepest knowing. The darkness you're experiencing isn't the absence of light. It's the womb of your own rebirth. The confusion isn't a mistake. It's the necessary dissolution of what no longer serves you. The uncertainty isn't a problem to be solved. It's an initiation to be embraced. You aren't lost because you failed. You're lost because you're growing, evolving, becoming more fully yourself. And that process requires periods of sacred disorientation. So I invite you to stop running, to cease searching frantically for the familiar path, to allow yourself to stand fully in the holy ground of not knowing. I invite you to trust that this lostness isn't random or meaningless, but pregnant with purpose, rich with possibility, alive with guidance. I invite you to remember that some of the most beautiful things in your life came from periods of uncertainty, from times when you didn't know the way forward but took the next step anyway. And most of all, I invite you to consider that perhaps you aren't actually lost at all. Perhaps you're exactly where you need to be, in the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming, in the fertile darkness where new life gestates, in the mysterious process of transformation that can't be rushed or controlled, but only surrendered to with trust and courage. Perhaps, just perhaps, you're being found by life itself in a way that your previous understanding couldn't have imagined or planned for. And that, my friend, isn't something to escape from. It's something to embrace with all the courage and trust your heart can muster.